Thank you very much. Welcome to the presentation From Paper to Concrete, the conservation of the collection of architectural models from the architectural archives of the Academy of Arts in Berlin. The archives of the Academy of Arts in Berlin are considered one of the most important interdisciplinary archives for modernist art and culture in the German-speaking countries. There are over 1,200 individual archives of artists from all sectors of the art. That means around 13,000 linear meters of unique archival material and around 2.5 million objects from artworks, graphic arts, photographs, plants, costumes, sculptures, and architectural models. The archive wants to make this treasure available to the public in a permanent exhibition. But there's a lack of space. So the idea is to set up a show storeroom in the main building at Pariser Platz. This is the building you can see on the pictures in the background. It is the collection of architectural models from the architectural archives, which should be shown. To introduce you a little closer to this collection, to architectural models and the idea of the showroom, you will now see a little movie.
Und da sind wir natürlich bei der Grundfrage von Modellen. Was für eine Funktion haben die eigentlich? Also sie haben natürlich auf vielen Ebenen eine andere Funktion. Sie sind erstmal eine Möglichkeit, seine Ideen dreidimensional auszudrücken, wobei das Modell natürlich nicht das gebaute Haus im Kleinen ist. Natürlich gibt es die Skizze, aber das Modell ist eigentlich das beste Kommunikationsmittel mit Dritten.
Für die Vermittlungsarbeit sind die dreidimensionale Objekte immer wunderbar geeignet, weil sich auch Laien sehr, sehr viel besser hineinversetzen können in die Frage, in welche Situation ist dieser Bau hineingepasst, welche Aufgabe hat er, funktioniert das in der Umgebung oder auch für sich selbst. All solche Fragen kann ich mir selbst erarbeiten, wenn ich das Modell angucke. Es hat also eine hohe Qualität für die Vermittlung von architektonischen Fragen. Und deswegen sind wir ja auch auf die Idee gekommen, dass wir das Schaudepot hier im Hause einrichten und dort einen besonderen Schwerpunkt auf die Modelle legen.
As you could see, the collection includes many different kinds of models, like lightweight paper models, more elaborated cardboard models like this Scharoun building, but also mixed material like plastics, wood, paper, cardboard from Wassili Luckhardt, or this Scharoun wooden theater, a big size model. But also this beautiful glass play from Bruno Taut from the 20s, or this utopic city floating on the river Seine with 40,000 apartments from Kleihues, and ending by this concrete casting which weighs over 100 kilograms. The collection houses over 500 of these models and have half of them stored at Pariser Platz on the second basement floor. Here you can see the depot situation in 21, and so the show storeroom is scheduled to open next year, one floor up. You can see the models are at side level in the middle of the shelves, as well as packed in the upper and lower shelf levels. Associated materials are also to be displayed on hanging walls. What I would like to briefly introduce you today is the process that took place during the last 2 years between one stage to prepare the other. As a first step, the value of the models was determined in 3 categories by the collection manager. Category A models are intended for presentation on the middle shelves, category B models are intended for later presentation, and C should be stored in protective packaging. Next, the conservation condition of the collection at the Pariser Platz was determined. For this purpose, the models were divided into 3 condition categories. From category 3, models with heavy surface dirt and fragile condition, until category 1, which were slightly dirty models in stable conditions. All information was entered into an inventory list. The next step was to understand more about the conservation task of the collection. For this purpose, 4 A models from the 3 different condition categories were randomly selected and restored in-house. Restoration measures and the processing time were recorded in the inventory list. The experience gained from this first restoration work enabled the preparation for the following pilot project. The pilot project were carried out with 5 people. On the first picture, you can see Conny Hanke, the external paper conservator, and the collection manager working together on one workplace. On the second picture, you can see the archivist assisting René Otto, the wood conservator. Over 6 days, together we restored and documented 22 models and developed 18 protective housings. Most importantly, however, were the close exchange in the team, which formed the crucial basis for the entire project. In this way, the collection staff learned about the possibilities and limitations for restoration, and us restorers learned more about the priorities and the collection. Based on this experience during the restoration work, a conservation action plan was created and the resources needed were identified and formulated in a cost plan. With this conservation concept from the conservation department and the concept of the showroom from the archive, we applied for funding to implement in a first step conservation. We were happy about the support from Ernst von Siemens Kunststiftung und Wüstenrot Stiftung, which arrived at the end of 21, and that we could start with more manpower in 22. The goal of the project was firstly to restore and optimize storage for all A and B models within 2 years, and secondly, to clean, preserve, optimize storage for all C models in 3 more years. For the implementation, external funding of €100,000 was available. The archivist Tanja Morgenstern knows the history of each model like the back of her hand, and so she was responsible for the collection and housing logistics and the database. We developed the following basic conditions for the restoration process. As little transport as possible, therefore the team worked close to the collection. The implementation of the process is organized in workshops, and which is done in fixed teams consisting always of a restorer and an assistant and the collection staff. Inspired by Andrea Giovannini's opening speech at the EIDA Congress in 2011, we wanted furthermore external employees to be paid equally and fairly to prevent competition and to promote the best possible professional exchange. Each workshop was prepared by the project leads. Models were selected, measured, photographed, conservation and housing material were ordered, and the workplaces were prepared. Each workshop lasted 1 week and began with a team meeting. Goals and priorities were discussed, and the team of conservators and assistants were assembled. After short object briefing, the models were restored, photographed, housings were built before returning into the storeroom. After the workshop, the handwritten documentation and the photographs were transferred to the database, the lab was cleaned up, the workshop was evaluated, and to prepare the next workshop. So far, we performed 8 workshops, with the final one to follow in November. Then all restoration goals will have been achieved and even exceeded. We were able to restore all A and B models and also surface clean, preserve and optimize the storage for the entire collection during the last 2 years. This is certainly thanks to the fruitful collaboration between the Architectural Archive and the Restoration Department, as well as the hardworking team of external collaborators. At the end of the next year, we hope to welcome you to the new display storeroom in Berlin. Thank you.